Alright, so I've made my first mark with my marking knife. What you do is you come in, you can hear it click, you can feel it fall into place. Square it up with a light, just a light mark. And then once you've created that groove, you can put a harder mark in there. Flip it over, and when you're making cuts and whatnot, you have two sides to your wood. You have reference faces. So what that means is those are the sides of the wood that you know are true, straight, and square, that you can reference your other measurements from, and that way you know it's all correct and true. So next thing, I've already made the first cut, or first mark. I come in here and I find that groove. I bring my square up to it and make a light cut, a little heavier, a little heavier. So then I'm gonna, this is my face, and I've gone from here to here, and instead of continuing over to here, I'm gonna come back to here, flip it over, find my mark, and once you've found your mark, you put your square up to it. And then instead of having a funny angle backwards, because you found your mark and you don't move, you score it again. And it's important to use the flat side. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a flat side and a angled side. What I found is using the flat side, butting it up against the straight edge of your ruler part really gets you dialed in further. Let me finish making these. And can find my mark. Hear it drop in, square it up, and make a nice cut so that you can find it. Sorry about the lighting in here, it sucks. It's all fluorescence. You can find it, so when you put your saw to it, it drops right in. So that's the first part. I needed to know how deep to make the cuts. Now I need to know how far in to make them to create that tenon. So I know that I want my piece of wood here to be vertical. So I want it to be taller vertically than I do widthwise. So you've got these right here. And again, I am sorry about the camera quality and the lighting. It's just, I'm doing what I can with what I got. One of the things I found is, just like with a marking knife, if you just start off light and make a couple of passes, you know, you're not trying to shove this thing in there the very first go around. You don't want it to be incredibly deep, because what happens if you slip? Then you've got a deep mark that's wrong. When you get to the edge, you can very carefully roll that edge, oops, very carefully roll that edge over. So I guess a better way to do it would be to show you this way. So just nice and easy, and then just roll it over. It looks like that's coming loose. See, I was trying to push too hard, and the cutting wheel rolled out of where I wanted it. So that's why you do it nice and gentle at first. So as of right now, I don't have a computer and I don't have editing software and that sort of stuff. So I'm going to ask you to bear with me when it comes to these videos and the quality. I'll get there. Thankfully, I have a boatload of teenagers that can help me with all the technical stuff that I just never learned. I remember when I was a freshman in high school, I'm going to date myself, but back in the 80s, let's see, it was 1989, I took a keyboarding class because I thought it would be a good way to meet young ladies. What I didn't realize is, you know, it was just, I can't remember if it was basic computer or just a typewriter. May have been a typewriter, but you know, no offense to my teacher, but it was a boring class, and it kind of defeated the whole purpose. So since then, I've been kind of standoffish about technology. I probably ruined a few computers by, you know, mashing Control-Alt-Delete or whatever. So I kind of learned that, you know, that sort of stuff isn't really in my wheelhouse. But they say, you know, surround yourself with people smarter than you. I don't know who said it, but it makes a lot of sense. So right now we're doing the top and bottom cuts, or marking that out. And it makes a lot of sense. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room, by any means. You just got to be yourself. And if you don't know something, or you don't know how to do something, there's nothing wrong with asking somebody. You know, asking for help. Because to me, it shows more character to have the humility to ask for help than to be arrogant and proud and just try to muscle your way through something and be wrong. Humility is a very good thing. It's a good trait. The thing with life, though, is it will teach you humility. One way or the other, you're going to learn it, and it's either going to be on your terms or on life's terms. Yeah, so these marks are lining up really well. I'm real happy about that. So yeah, I went to high school in the end of the 80s. I remember when the Berlin Wall came down. That was interesting. I think I was in study hall, and my teacher brought in a television, and we watched it. I've had a good life. I've had a chaotic life, and a lot of it's been my own doing. But once I got to a good place, things really started lining up. So here we are. I don't know if you can see it, like I said before, but we've got our 4 lines coming across, And if you look, that makes out the tenon that we want. So then it's a matter of cutting around the outside and cutting top and bottom. And for me, what I'm learning is if you start your saw and your cuts, and I've been using a pull saw, if you start your cuts and you make sure your body positioning is correct. When your saw is bucking on you and bowing and kicking back, it means your body's, your tool, your saw, is telling you something. It's telling you that your body is in the wrong position, that you are putting that tool in a position that it doesn't work to its best. So, like Paul Sellers says, listen to your tools, and they will help you understand what you need to do and what you don't need to do. All right, see you in a little while.